I mean, I could have told you this.
Oof.
Rumor. Star Wars's history, franchise's future, my brain today, hinges on the Mandalorian and Grogu success. So, again, I could have told you this. I don't think this is a massive stretch. This all just comes down to someone, Daniel Richtman, saying there won't be a season 4 of The Mandalorian, and if the movie succeeds, a sequel will be made. However, if it flops, it will serve as the final chapter for Mando and could also put Dave Filoni's movie at risk. That's the kind of thing which is the reason why I made this article into a topic, because it's actually a broader conversation, isn't it? I mean, let's look at what they've had announced. That they've also just quietly dropped Rey movie, announced in 2023. Had no update since. Bit weird. A bit of a strange one. I think it was 2023. You then also have the Dawn of the Jedi movie, James Mangold. No updates on that either. That's just sort of quietly just shelved now, seemingly. The only thing that they have done is push forward that low budget Ryan Gosling movie, and that's said to be quite a low budget film. Different, it's not as high budget as the other films anyway. And then they've had a string of failures. So, the last series to come out was The Acolyte. Then you had Andor, the most recent series to come out. So one before last.
Well, no, you're forgetting the one with the kids. I can't even remember the name of it.
Oh yeah, Skeleton Crew. Yeah, true.
Skeleton Crew. Yeah.
Right.
You forgot it because why wouldn't you?
Well, I didn't watch it, to be fair, but okay, well that's even more failures then, isn't it? So The Acolyte bombed, Skeleton Crew kind of came out with with a fart and a whimper, and then you had Andor, which some people say is absolutely fantastic. I haven't watched Andor season 2. I watched season 1. I like season 1, but that hasn't done very well numbers. And then what else do you have? I mean, well, those are the products. And so if you come out with The Mandalorian and Grogu and it bombs, I mean, you're screwed, aren't you? Really, you're absolutely screwed. I mean, that's what, 4 or 5 failures all in a row after significant failures before. Anyway, let's not forget that those other series that they put out weren't doing gangbusters. So I could have told you this, that if Mando and Grogu doesn't do well, that's kind of where it ends, because it is. Lucasfilm were really dumb about this anyway, is that they should have, I've said this before, is that they should have released season 1, built the hype, and then just gone, yep, cool, season 2 isn't season 2, it's a movie, so you're going to continue the story in a film, when the hype was at its critical mass. Now hype's just waned for this because they've dragged it out way too long. The stories have degraded in quality. It's not, and they had declining viewership as well as ratings as well. So I don't think this is going to do that well. Also, what's important to remember, something which I don't know has been mentioned by many people, is that this, as a film, as a series, started on Disney Plus. More and more people will be primed and happy just to wait for this film to go to Disney Plus rather than going and paying in theaters to watch it. So I actually don't think Disney realizes that they've built a rod for their own back here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my thoughts. What are yours?
I mean, this seems like the kind of thing that a supposed insider, industry insider will say on a week where he's just got nothing else to say. Like, the first Star Wars movie they've made since 2019 actually really needs to make money. Like, no, really? Thanks. Brilliant insight there. But I do think it's interesting that they're saying that, Filoni's future could be at risk here if this fails, because if this fails, Dave Filoni, and I have said forever that Dave Filoni exists to be the fall guy for the Fempire, so that they could pin all of the failures of this era on Dave Filoni because he's the chief content officer, the chief creative officer. So he basically is in charge of the actual creative direction, and it's all, lesbian witches in everything, with the exception of Andor, which was apparently made because they circumvented Filoni and got around him. So yeah, if this doesn't work, I would assume some people would have to take a long, hard look at Dave Filoni, and Dave Filoni is a lot easier to throw out on his tuchus than Kathleen Kennedy is. We all know that Kathleen Kennedy has got, some kind of magic get out of jail free card, that, she suffers no consequences for her failures. Dave Filoni, I don't think, has that. So yeah, that's the only part of this that stuck out to me, because obviously this movie has to do good. They have not been able to put the Star Wars sequel trilogy, despite the fact that they all made over $1 billion, is a failure because movie made less money than the movie before it. In a good trilogy, you should be seeing, increasing returns, not diminishing returns over time. Interest attenuated in Star Wars under that sequel trilogy, and then they had the first ever theatrical bomb in Solo, which terrified them, because they thought that they were going to buy Star Wars and it was just going to be a license to print money. No matter what we put on the screen, people will love it. Okay, let's make it for a new audience. And now we're at a situation where there was a Star Wars cartoon that came out on May the 4th by Dave Filoni, Tales of the Underworld, and nobody even noticed.
That's mad, isn't it?
I did not see one channel in our sphere talk about it. Not one. It's a new Star Wars property, and nobody even noticed that it came out. It's maddening. No one cares about Star Wars anymore. It's a dead brand. The only way anyone will ever care about it again is if somehow George Lucas got his hands back on it, and I don't think he wants it, because who would at this point? It'd be funny if he pulled a Chaim Saban and bought it back from Disney for less than they paid him for it. But I mean, the valuation of that franchise has got to have tanked. Nobody cares anymore. There's nothing that can be done to save it. Even Andor, which people were raving about how good it was, even Lauren Connor over there on Toonie Talk TV and the Pro Show was saying how amazing Andor was. But I honestly would be shocked if Andor did anything numbers wise for them.
Yeah, Andor didn't do.
I think everybody has too high of an expectation of Star Wars. We all expect it to come back to form. We've all been hoping it would come back to form. It's never coming back to form.
We? I don't think anyone expects it to come back to form.
Well, I mean, some people
still have hope, I think.
A lot of people still have hope. But look, let me speak very quickly to the fact that this isn't ever going to come back to form. This is a dead brand. It's been a dead brand now for, I mean, who knows how long at this point? Maybe 5 years. I mean, going into the first season of Mandalorian, there was a lot of excitement. Everybody felt like, hey, this is a good story. It was masculinely based and all of that. By the time we got to the second season and then what happened, everybody just kind of lost interest. And for good reason. I mean, after what they did to Gina, and that case is going to get resolved sometimes in the next 2 years. So I have a feeling that Disney's going to take it on the chin in that area as well. This has been a dead brand for at least the last 2 years. I have to tell you, I think Acolyte was already a sign of the times for anybody I know. The only reason I watched it, I think probably anybody here watched it, was because, we were going to talk about it. And you really don't want to talk about things that you haven't actually seen. But when you see stuff like this, you see reports like this, you see reporters that, it's a Friday, I don't know what to talk about kind of situation, as Marvin suggested. This is just Captain Obvious time. This thing needs to make money. It's not destined to. I think all three of us here know this thing's going to flop spectacularly, because not only, as you indicated there, Nate, that there's no excitement ginned up for this any longer because they waited so long to get it out there. They really don't have any more story to tell. Bringing Grogu back into the mix with Mando kind of, looped this into the wrong side of the equation. I mean, the baby Grogu thing was a great hook, but they didn't need it anymore. They needed to move on through the bounty hunting stories that we needed with Mando, the rebuilding of the Mandalorian, right?
Well, yeah,
And we didn't get any of that. So at the end of the day, they're directionless, rudderless. They're rudderless in all parts of Star Wars. None of their storytelling has landed with any audience, whether it be for the female centric garbage that they gave us with Acolyte and or even this. I mean, Andor, as far as I'm concerned, kind of was jumping the shark with that show right at the very beginning of the season in the first 3 episodes. So nobody can be in the long term engaged with Star Wars anymore because there's nothing there to glom onto. Your original heroes were killed off. Your favorite, your favorite aspects of Star Wars have been abandoned, and they will lecture you that this is a kids franchise with about space wizards with light swords, and then turn around and do a attempted grape scene, like we just talked about with Horizon. I don't think you market that to kids. So they are suffering the same identity crisis that Marvel is, which is something I think I brought up a week ago. That Marvel's in an identity crisis, Star Wars is in an identity crisis, which means Disney is in an identity crisis.
well, Marvel and Star Wars tried the same maneuver, which was let's take this historically boy brand and make it into a brand for girls. And then they found out that
Yeah.
girls and Gen Zs in general just didn't want it. Because
Yeah.
they don't actually watch TV. Go figure. Despite the fact that you all keep trying to get them to watch TV. But Mandalorian season 2 ended in one of the most perfect ways anything has ever ended. With the Luke Skywalker scene coming in, green lightsaber ablaze. We take Grogu out. We get the big dramatic moment. And then you were poised for greatness. That could have revitalized Star Wars. And then season 3 just became oh man, I suck. This girl is so much better than me. Here, I bow to you and give you the dark saber. Like, stop it. Like, you ruined it. It was completely ruined. And a lot of that has to do with Dave Filoni. So, got the guy who was supposedly the savior of Star Wars, the guy that was going to, keep George's vision afloat, George's Padawan, the guy who understands lore better than anyone. He just became a corporate shill. Dave will do whatever he has to do for his corporate masters, and that's the end of it.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. So, yeah, I mean, Star Wars is dead. Star Wars is dead. Yeah, it's just a dead brand. Israel R says, hello, Mr. HCC and Melvin. I don't care for Star Wars, and if the Mando movie fails, good. Because maybe that will hopefully trigger positive change. Maybe.
I
like it.
I think with the Mando movie, depending on how the trailers are received, you might get a $700-800 million movie out of this, but I can't see it breaking $1 billion.
I don't know, mate. I think you just got to remember. Is that this movie, this property originated on the small screen. People will happily wait for it to go, back on Disney Plus.
That's true.
I don't know. Like, you can't. They've kind of devalued the property by originating it on the small screen in the way that they have. Like, what are you going to do to make it look that much better to go on the big screen? They're not. Like, they're filming it on in exactly the same way that they filmed the series. So it's going to look like a TV series for the big screen. It's going to look weird.
Absolutely. And rumors have been flying around for months and, probably about a year now that, Luke's going to be in this and Leia might be in it and Han might be in it. I'm like, no one cares. Nobody cares about Luke, Han, and Leia anymore because no matter what you do when you show them, we know where they end up. And that's why endings are so important in storytelling. Because if you know that all roads lead to Luke Skywalker drinking green milk and then dying on a rock, Han Solo walking into a lightsaber, and Princess Leia just dying because she wanted to have a forced conversation with her son, we can't enjoy the journey when the destination we know is something that's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Our great moderator in the chat, Zombie, says, "Don't be a black pill, Cece. Star Wars can still be saved. Sparrow, Sparrow."
Oh boy.
No.
Culture.
No, the Star Wars has no opportunity to recover with the current leadership. You notice that there, and this is why what Marvin says about the fall guy being, little wolf boy, here is because Kathleen Kennedy is going to be out the door at some point, whenever that is, whenever she makes the decision to leave, whatever, it'll be done. But they won't blame her. She's had a quote unquote storied career of bringing people coffee, and they want to elevate her for that. Hey guys, we're gonna need to put the trailers over here so that we don't, block the craft services area for our stars. That's the kind of decision making this chick was making. So, they won't tear down her legacy of, production organization. No. They will bury the weird wolf guy. And
they laid the Acolyte on him. They were like, "Oh, Dave Filoni loves the Acolyte, guys. Dave Filoni loves it. You should give it a chance because Dave Filoni loves it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay. I'm sure he loves it so much." His wife probably loved it because it had gay witches in it.
I don't care what Dave Filoni likes.
She's a big fan of gay witches. Let's just be fair.
Well, anyway, Star Wars is dead. And let's move on.